You know, by the time John is done introducing me, I'm cringing so badly. I have to make myself come out on stage. He overdoes it so much. But I have to tell you, this is a moment I've been waiting for 2 months. You know, you guys know I normally talk off the cuff, and it's frightening to do that because you don't know what the hell you're going to say, you know. And I'm doing it again today, but the difference is for the last 2 months, I've been toying with certain things that I wanted to communicate to you because this is very serious, what I have to say. This is not like any talk or any speech I've made ever in my life, and certainly not one I've made in this country, because I've learned something from you, and I've learned it by all the time that I've had the privilege of spending with you. I've learned that there's something special about network marketers. There's a reason why people are attracted to a business that's about sharing, that's about communicating, that is about love. There's a big love element in network marketing. Now, I agree with John. It's an industry that has a terrible name, and I hate to say it, but it deserves a lot of that because people take advantage of that emotion, that natural emotion and heart quality that network marketers have is taken advantage of over and over again by companies who use that to take their money, pass it down a pyramid, and you know, for every person that makes a lot of money, there's hundreds that lose. And of course, and you'll hear from a little bit of my history, that was abhorrent to me. There was no way it was going to be part of my life. And that's why we have a free opportunity. We have a sustainable, socially responsible business model, and that's what you're all a part of. But the idea of heart and what I've learned about that element has been the inspiration for Mission to Millions, which my son Gregory, who is also our Chief Marketing Officer, should probably put that in reverse, it's more professional. He came up with this idea, and we knew that it was going to resonate. And when we played the Mission to Millions video, everyone hit their feet and screamed. And now I'm telling you, I'm not putting IBM down, but if you had 1,000 IBM salespeople in a room when we played Mission to Millions, they'd be going, what? What is this? You know? But not us, because we resonate with that. Now, the power of that, you know, the power of that resonance, the power of that heart space gives us the power to create change. It gives us the enthusiasm to create change, to want to communicate with other people about things that are valuable, not valuable in terms of dollars and cents, but value that transcends dollars and cents. Based on what I've learned, based on who you are, and I'm happy to say I feel like I'm a little bit like you guys, which is why I'm just so attracted to this business. I had an idea, and it's an idea that literally can change the face of the economy and the energy situation we find ourselves in, the lack of sustainability of energy, the dependence on foreign oil. It can have a gigantic impact on all of those things. And I'm going to tell you about it. But I'm not going to tell you about it right this minute because John Costino insists, because there's always a lot of new people in the room, that I give a little bit of the history of how we got to where we are. So for those of you that have heard it, you're stuck with it, and I'll make it short. I got into the energy business, which was then called the oil business, in 1980. It wasn't called energy because the only thing that was deregulated was crude oil and gasoline and heating oil and jet fuel, and it was physical products. We weren't trading futures. That market didn't exist. Natural gas and electricity didn't exist as markets for another 10 years. And so I was a trainee to broker crude oil, and it was a very exciting opportunity. It's where I met my partner and best friend, Carrie Turnbull, who was also a trainee. But let me back up just for a moment. I didn't start out with the ability to broker $50 million cargoes of crude oil. I wanted to be an actor. So this is great for me. I get to act, you know. I pretend I'm credible. So I started out as an actor. I was a lousy student, but I went to a great school, Carnegie Mellon, as an acting major. Of course, I didn't finish. You know, when you're acting, nobody asks to see your college degree. And I went out to California, tried to make my fortune, and the whole thing was ill-fated. And I wound up knocking around until 1980. Now, I'm 60 years old, so that was a good 8 years of not having the great job. I didn't have a college degree. So I sold things, which was pretty natural for me, as you might guess. And I worked as a waiter. And working as a waiter was really my favorite gig. So I was a good waiter, too, and I could go back to that tomorrow. And God willing, I won't have to, but, I could do it. So literally, I'm working as a waiter in Kansas City, and a friend of mine who is with this new company in New York, who had one office and maybe 5 employees, calls me up and says, would you like to interview for a job with this company? And I said, well, what do you do? And he told me, and I said, yeah, I could hang with you guys for a while. And I quit my job. I got rid of my apartment. I packed my car, and I was going to interview. Well, I was going to get the job, obviously. And I got the job, and I literally went from how would you like your filet to brokering $50 million cargoes of crude oil seemingly in a moment. And I was going to have this career. This was a dream come true for me. It was bigger than I was, and it was going to stay that way, and I was determined to hold on to it. Well, I didn't stay at Amerex very long. I stayed about 6 months, and then the industry got into a kind of musical chairs situation, and I had 6 jobs in 6 years. But what I got to see in that time was a nascent industry begin to unfold. I saw a dozen products that didn't exist one day come into existence. For example, when natural gas was deregulated and when people started, trading in a lot in London and the Far East. I mean, I was there to see all of those developments, and so was my buddy Carrie Turnbull. And Carrie, by the way, we stayed very close friends the whole time, even after I left. In fact, we really became better friends over the next 25 years. So when I joined a company called United, which had 2 offices and 2 departments in 1987, I was just about fed up with brokering. Brokering was a difficult job. It was a lot of pressure. I'd come in at 7:30 in the morning. I'd have 2 phones going. I'd be transacting. Literally, I could transact $1 billion worth of product in a day sometimes, and there's a lot of pressure in that because guys on the other end of the phone, you might be surprised, they really don't want you to make a mistake, and if you do, you don't really get them on the phone after that. So, I was lucky. The one thing I could do was communicate. Back then, I had a good memory. I kind of think I did anyway. I don't remember that well now, so I can't say for sure. And, and I did, I was pretty good at it, but I was tired of it. So I went to the owners of the company, United, and I said, look, I really want to get off the phone. And frankly, I think my skills had waned enough that they let me off the phone because they thought I'd be closer to the door, if you know what I mean. And, but it was the beginning of a second career, and I found that what I was really good at was being an entrepreneur. That was what I was really good at, and I was able to take the company from 2 departments to 14 departments, from an office in Connecticut and Boston to 5 offices in the United States, an office in London and Singapore, an affiliate office in Tokyo. And I was also able to spot a couple of things because now I had developed what we call vision, which I'll explain in a second, so I don't seem to be pumping myself up because vision is not the big deal we tend to think it is. But I had recognized energy derivatives, options, and swaps as a market that was about to take off. It wasn't being brokered. It was barely being traded. I hired the first team to develop that market, and that market now is multiples of $1 trillion. So I got the reputation with that to be, for being a bit of a visionary. I was also one of the first over-the-counter brokers to start a business on the New York Mercantile Exchange, which was a new business. We were the largest non-clearing execution broker in the crude oil ring. Now, this idea of vision, the only reason I even bring it out in the story is it's kind of important to establish that I know what I'm saying when I talk about an opportunity in energy. But this idea of vision fascinates me because if any of you who's a parent in the room? Okay, lots of parents. Well, when you're a parent and your 10-year-old child does something that isn't going to work out, you're a visionary. That's as simple as it is. I was a visionary because I had 20 years in the industry, so I saw all of these things develop. But, so, In 2005, I wound up owning, by the way. The owners of the company recognized what I had contributed. They gave me an equal partnership, and I wound up owning half of the company. We sold it in 2005, and in theory, I retired. Now, my buddy Carey Turnbull, I like to say, had less imagination than I did. He never left Amerex. One job his whole career. But he became chairman of the board and grew Amerex to a company that dwarfed my company and was the first person in the world to recognize that natural gas, wholesale natural gas, could be intermediated, and started the first international brokerage company to broker wholesale natural gas. Now, the way deregulation has worked is it's deregulated on the wholesale before it's deregulated on the retail market. The retail deregulation of electricity and natural gas is not much more than 10 years old, and it hasn't been really viable until the last 3 for us, for a company like ours to come in and thrive. So Carey had ridiculous accomplishments, of course, and sold his company in 2006 to a public company, as I had done, and retired. But we had stayed very, very close friends. In fact, we even owned a sailboat together. Now, if any of you are boaters, we owned a sailboat and never had a cross word. I mean, what more can you say about a friendship? And so we always wanted to work together, but we pretty much figured, that was off the table at this point. And but here's a very odd thing that happened to me. I had a friend who introduced me to a network marketing company, which was very out of character for me, called Shop to Earn. And some of my old Shop to Earn buddies are sitting in the front row. There's a whole bunch of them. And I loved it. Now, this is a company that charged $480, to get in. But I did very well. I mean, I did extremely well the first month. I enrolled 20 people. I was convinced everybody could do this. It was so easy for me. And so I would start having meetings, and I'd convince people to write that check. It was a wonderful concept. It was a shopping portal, an online shopping portal that gave cash back. It was a great business. I became friendly with the president, very close friends. We still are. But I learned something that, of course, I couldn't avoid learning. I learned, and it didn't take long, it was 2 months, that the people that were writing those checks were losing their money. And it didn't matter how much I begged them to let me help. It was the 80-20 rule, because whether you're in network marketing or you're in energy brokerage or you're in any other business, anyone that owns a business knows that 20% of the people produce 90% of the product or the service. And the other 80%, are doing something, but they're not driving the bus. So this is the same reality that we deal with in this business. It's not that this is some terrible business. It's, that no one can do. It's just the 80-20 rule. It's just reality. So, but the problem is these people were writing checks and they were buying my dream because I was so excited about it. Well, I had to quit. I couldn't do this. I couldn't be a part of that. I mean, in my mind, I might as well have it. Once I knew that 9 out of 10 of the people were going to lose their money, well, what's the difference? I might have carried a gun at that point because I was just robbing these people. So I was done. I was done with network marketing. And so, but here's the amazing thing. I have always been a networker. I didn't know it, but my whole life I've been a network marketer because life is an enrollment game. That's what we do. You want a beautiful fiance? You better be good at the enrollment game. I was very good at it. If you want a job, you better be good at the enrollment game. If you want friends, you better be good at sharing your feelings and enrolling people in what you would like to have happen. So I was pretty good at that. That was my career, basically, which is why I feel so at home, talking to my peeps here in the room. Because long before I did this business, I was in this business. And I'll tell you something else, and I don't want to wax too philosophical here, but it's a point that I just love to share. In the toughest business in the world, and I was in one of them, all A-type Wall Street personalities, the business moves on love. Love is the fabric that connects even the guys that would never utter the word. Because in my business, there was no less than a dozen people that someone could do a deal with, the same deal, but they picked up the phone and called me. Now, they wouldn't say they loved me, but what else is it? It's like friendship. It's connection. it's love. And we're specialists in that, and we can be very proud of that. We're at the higher end of that spectrum. We're not afraid. Everyone that came up here hugged me. I didn't get hugged in the oil business. I didn't get hugged. I needed hugs. I didn't get hugs. Now, fast forward, because of the reality of network marketing, because I've been blessed with the willingness to listen to people and understand that the greatest things I've ever heard could come out of someone that I wouldn't even think would have anything of value to say to me. And I met a fellow, and of course, I don't want to say now this fellow was someone I didn't think could ever say anything to me, but that was a general point. I met a fellow named Michael O'Brien, who's already been on the stage, in Shop to Earn. Michael O'Brien was working as a commercial electricity broker. And Michael O'Brien said, have you ever looked at retail electricity? Well, I was out of the business 5 years. I didn't have much of an interest. And retail electricity was one business I knew nothing of. And so, I didn't take it too seriously. Then he persisted, and all of a sudden I'm looking at it. And I have to tell you, as an entrepreneur, you get 50 ideas, or 50 ideas come to you from somewhere else. And if you decide you're going to take one seriously, you take a step toward it, it almost always gets further away. You find out, it's too expensive, it can't be done. So I decided to take a step toward this, not expecting much, and lo and behold, it got a step closer. And seemingly a minute later, I'm calling my partner and my best friend on the phone, and I'm asking him if he has another campaign left in him, because he's got to take a look at this. And I am telling you, and I'm going to stand on the reputation that I think I earned in the way that I said I earned it, the daddy-children thing. I know what an opportunity in the energy business looks like. And when I looked at this, I saw an opportunity that was larger than anything I'd ever seen in my life by a factor of 10. There was nothing even approached it. The deregulation of electricity is going to be the largest transfer of wealth in American history, because telecom was previously the largest. Telecom was a $200 billion industry. Electricity and natural gas is an $850 billion industry, and it's moving from a monopolistic few to all of us in the room and thousands of other people. And it's going to drive, in our case, a tremendous amount of good as the migration takes place. So I start the company with Carrie Turnbull, North American Power. It's funny, we were a local business because we were started in Connecticut, and we had plans to go into Maryland and Pennsylvania. Now, as you know, we're in Maryland and Pennsylvania and Connecticut and New Jersey and New York, and we're really a hair's breadth from being in Illinois. We're in the licensing process, and then probably Ohio and Texas. But that's it. That's what we can do. But for some reason, because I also believe in a beautiful thing called synchronicity, instead of calling it, your local, your regional electric company, I called it North American Power, Well, today you're going to find out why that's such a perfect name. So we started the company, and we didn't know what the hell we were going to do to get customers. We did a certain amount of analysis, but Carrie and I had never been in a retail business. We understood the suppliers in the business we were competing with because they were our customer base, and they were gigantic. But we also knew that they didn't know anything about getting a retail base. So I'm really lucky in a few areas of my life, and one of them is probably my management style, and I think it actually comes out of laziness. I am very quick to give the reins to somebody else if I think they can do something, and I don't care how old they are, because age doesn't matter. So either way, by the way, so early in the beginning of the company, my son Gregory Breitbart he was 25, I guess. He had one job after college. He studied marketing and social entrepreneurship, and he had done exceptionally well at it. It was a marketing job of luxury real estate in the Caribbean. He was having a hard time, my poor son. And, of course, when the economy died, that stopped working. And he was seeing what I was doing and seeing some of my plans, like spending $2,500 on a website, that your daughter could design. That was my big plan for marketing. And he said, "Hey, Dad, let me help you. So I said, fine. We brought him in, no pay, of course. And he has evolved. When you see the materials, on our website, when you see our website, when you see our branding, one way or another, Greg has his hand on all of that stuff. I'm proud to be associated with him. And thank God I had the wisdom, even though he was only 25, to say very quickly, you know more than I do about this, run with the ball. And sometimes it bugs me, he doesn't even check with me on things, another story, Shortly after that, Carrie Turnbull's son, Devin Turnbull, came into the game. And Devin Turnbull was a game changer also because he was a world-class graphic designer. And we should have never, if it weren't for Mr. Turnbull taking advantage of his son, we would have never been able to afford him. And a lot of what you see, a lot of the design work you see, most of it, including the pins and the slides, and are Devin's designs. The logos. I mean, we no longer, it's just wonderful work. So, I want to talk a little bit about a transformation that I've gone through in this business because it sort of leads up to what we're going to do together now. One of the first things that happened when I came in is I realized, like it or not, network marketing was a very powerful vehicle to sell electricity, because there was a company called Stream Ignite that was only in 2 states and was a $1 billion company. I mean, what more do you need to know? But they were charging $350 to come in and $25 a month for a website. I may be a little off on that, but not much. And I was not going to do that. I mean, there's no way I was going to do that. But I thought, well, maybe we can do this for free, because my philosophy was, and I can't understand anyone that would think another way, I was a businessman for 25 years. And I'm now producing a product. If the profit of my product can't pay my sales force, well, then in my opinion, you look for another product. You don't charge your salespeople to come in. I mean, it made no sense. So I went out to a consultant and I said, can you design a network marketing model where people can't lose money? And he came back, for those of you that have been around for the early part of the last 15 months, he came back with a plan that was $49 and a free website. Well, for various reasons, that plan didn't entirely work out. It was more of a direct selling plan. It wasn't a network marketing plan, and we parted company, and I'll get to that in a moment, because clearly it's not the plan that we have now that we're working with. So let me give you a quick overview of the first year, very quick. So various people come in. We start the network marketing model. Now, every time I went to work in my career, I went to work to chase a buck. Now, I had fun, and I loved my customers, and, we would go out and, socialize, and, which was code for drinking for the most part. And, but it was about chasing a buck. It was about me, Now, it was about my family, but it was about me and what Carrie Breitbart wanted. And when I started this business, well, guess what? I mean, I was the same person. It's about me. Now, all of a sudden, I've got my son on board. And then I've got Mr. Turnbull's son on board. And then my other son comes on board, John Breitbart, our Director of Communications. Now, a very interesting thing happens. And I can't tell you when it stopped being about me completely. But when the network marketing idea came into the picture, and we were able to do that business in a socially responsible way, all of a sudden, all of the Shop to Earn people, all of the leaders from Shop to Earn, look at what we're doing. They knew me, and they're in. And now they're bringing in all the other people I know. So, I mean, I don't know whether it was after the 50th friend and 2 children, or I don't know when it actually happened, but it stopped being about me. It started being about, am I really going to be there for these people? I mean, they're trusting me. They're leaving their jobs. I mean, is it really, do I know what I'm doing here? And I felt as if I was, running a train that was leaving the station, and more cars, were piling on the back, and, my family was back there, all of my friends were back there. I mean, it really was a lot of pressure because I knew the track wasn't completely laid in front of the train, and I never could figure out if I should tell these people, and ruin their day, or I should just quietly have confidence that, the track's going to be laid. Well, the track was laid just at the nick of time in a lot of areas of the business, financing-wise. We have unlimited credit, to build this business. That didn't happen overnight. A lot of things happened. So in the first year, we brought in 100,000 customers. That made us, because we were not really network marketing, that made us the fastest growing company that year outside of the network marketing space, which bothered us because we really should have been the fastest growing company, period. And, we were able, with that success, to bring on some fantastic executives with just absurd credentials. I still don't know why they joined. Once again, I'm a networker, so I was able to enroll them. I somehow created the impression we were better than we were, and they came on board. And, that was a really wonderful aspect of the growth of this business. And we now have a very stable, very profitable base. And it's a forgiving base. We can do a lot of different things. They don't all have to work. We're not going anywhere. We're not a network marketing company that is depending 100%, on getting those $500 checks, and they better keep coming. We're not that at all. We are an energy company. We're an electricity supplier, and we're multifaceted. So now, where are we now? We have the Mission to Millions, which came in and, began, when I heard about that, Greg came to me with the idea. My first reaction was, wow, more customers, because I'm running a business. And I've had a very interesting experience, because what happened to me after I said, yes, let's do it, is I started talking the talk. Started walking the walk, because I was actually doing this, and so was my partner. And then, of course, I backed into talking the talk, and all of a sudden, it wasn't about customers. It was about what could we do, what could we accomplish here. And that really had a big impact on me personally. And it was a great feeling. It was a great feeling to now be worried about other people, to have a socially responsible vanguard model in an industry that's very important. I don't know if you guys know it or not, but $27 billion worth of product is moved in the United States through network marketing. It's considered to be the most powerful way to introduce a new product to the market. And a lot of people are using it. Warren Buffett owns the largest, one of the top three, the Pampered Chef. You all saw Donald Trump come in. There's a lot of quiet investment that's coming from the cognoscente in the investment world into this industry. And we're the only people doing it right. We're the only people. I'm not exaggerating. There is right now no other company out there that is doing this business in the way that we're doing this business. And you can be very proud of that, and be very proud of the fact that your friends aren't going to lose money. You're not going to lose friends, and this is a sustainable model. And sustainability has become very important to me. Sustainability in this model exists because nobody loses money. And in the other models, when you are in an area for a certain period of time, 9 out of 10 of the people that you've signed up have lost money. How long do you think it takes before the word-of-mouth good press turns into word-of-mouth dreadful press? And you're done at that point. And some of these companies, I'm not going to mention their names, they've reached that point. They're done growing their history. And we're going to go in and help all those people, learn how to do this business in another way. We have a wide open field as far as that's concerned. So I find myself thinking about other people and this model and how it's socially responsible, the Mission to Millions and how important that is. Now we start thinking about green energy. Now, I have to tell you, I'm going to be perfectly honest, I've never been, an environmental warrior. It's not how I came to what I'm going to tell you about. And what I'm going to tell you about has become more important to me than any other aspect of this business. But I came to it by accident. I backed into it, just like I backed into worrying about other people before myself. And here's how it happened. I knew that the other people that I work with felt that doing good for the environment was important. It fit our mission. It was a perfect thing for us to do, because let me just tell you something, and you guys probably know it, and I don't want to get into a big bummer, but we're in trouble in this country because we don't address things until there's a crisis. That seems to be our style somewhat. We have a lot of individual rights, and it's a marvelous thing, but it's individuals that drive who gets elected and how we do things. The country gets the government it deserves. Collective consciousness elects that government, and sometimes we don't do that great a job. Sometimes we do. And I'm not going to comment on whether we have right now or not. That's not important. But I can tell you this, we are not addressing one of the most important areas in our economy and in the world right now. We are not doing anything to produce and develop. I don't want to say we're not doing anything. We're doing next to nothing to produce and develop sustainable, renewable energy in the United States. Now, I don't know about you, but I pay right now $4.90 a gallon for gasoline. We're depending right now on 70% of our energy needs from unstable foreign governments. We pay $1 trillion a year for that. That's an Iraq war every year. We now have to raise the debt ceiling. You think there might be a connection there? What's going to happen if we don't do anything about this? Because let me tell you something about renewable energy. Not only can it save the environment, can it correct and prevent climate change, not only can it keep 300,000 people from dying a year in this country, due to pollution from burning fossil fuels, but guess what? This energy is made in America. This energy is produced and developed and provides jobs that cannot be outsourced to other countries. And this is also something that we need. This is something that we're doing right now. And so here's what evolved in my mind and heart. I went to John Costino and I said, John, we want to sell more green energy. We want to become a green, renewable energy company. And he came up with this great plan. He just simply doubled the commissions on 100% green energy. So, look, we are here. One thing I should emphasize, we're not a charity. We're a profit-making business, and we're addressing a number of different things, and I'm proud of every one of them we're addressing, not the least of which is that we need to make mortgage payments, we need to make car payments, we need to make tuition payments, and we need to have an opportunity for the American dream. And that's very important. And I happen to believe that we can be a cause-based social network marketing company and have all of that while we're doing something incredible in 3 different areas to give back. Doing well by doing good. It's a phrase you're going to hear from this stage a lot, So now we're in the green energy business and everything is going okay and some people are signing up and having 2 network marketing individuals who are world class like Brad and John, I kept thinking to myself, we got to have a national product because that network marketing is a national footprint in every single business that's ever existed except one, energy. Because in energy, it can only be in the deregulated states. So all of the great people that have been involved in this industry that have made a lot of things happen have sacrificed their teams in California and Michigan and Arizona and Utah and most of the states because it really is only viable to work it in the 6 or 7 states, that you can successfully do retail electricity or natural gas. So I thought, wow, we really need a national product. And I kept saying to Brad, it was really funny the way thoughts evolve because I didn't even know what I was about to think. But I kept having this strong desire for a national product. And I didn't know what it was going to be. I actually thought maybe a cell phone, because that was his background. Something, you know. But that, of course, wouldn't fit the brand. I don't know exactly when it happened, but there was a point where I was sitting in my family room in my big fat leather chair, and I had this idea that we could sell power all over the United States. We could sell green power all over the United States. Let me back up and get a little bit didactic here. When we sell 100% green product, or anybody in the United States sells 100% green product, and it's sold in most states, I think about 25 or 30. If you call your utility and say, I want to buy 100% green product, what they don't explain to you, but what is absolutely universally true, is your electricity doesn't change. How could it change? I mean, they're not going to, change the wires and pipe just, energy coming from windmills to your house. No. Electricity sources, production facilities of electricity, coal, natural gas, hydro, biofuels, wind, solar, all go into what, metaphorically, a big swimming pool. Out of that swimming pool, through the wires, comes whatever that mix is. So, the more renewable energy that exists and goes into that swimming pool, the greener that electricity is. So, since they can't pipe it to your house, what do when you buy green electricity, or when we buy it? They go out into the market and buy what's called a renewable energy credit, also called a renewable energy certificate or a green tag. This is a financial vehicle that has been sanctioned by the United States government to promote the development of renewable energy. Because when a renewable energy producer produces a megawatt of electricity, he gets to sell one of these renewable energy credits, and it makes his project viable. Most of the renewable energy projects in this country would not be developed if it were not for renewable energy credits. So, I don't know if any of you are connecting the dots yet, but all of a sudden it occurred to me that, wait a minute, I can sell electricity in only 7 states, but I can sell 100% green power through renewable energy credits in all 50 states. Now, I think if I had not had a couple of big ideas before anybody else, I would have dismissed that thought and gotten up and gotten a cookie or something, Because I get up and get a cookie after every thought. No, I'm just kidding. But I knew that I knew from my background not to dismiss a thought just because nobody had ever done it before. And I am telling you, no company in the United States is actively marketing to individuals. No company is actively marketing green power in the other 43 states to individuals. The buyers of green power, it's not that individuals don't buy it. People call their utility and say, hey, I'd like to buy, 100% renewable energy. Maybe 200,000 or 300,000 people in all of the United States have done that. Probably not even. I think we have a bunch of statistics from the Environmental Protection Agency, and it's a small number. The primary driving force that is providing support for the renewable, sustainable energy sector is large corporations and government agencies. And I am telling you something, and I know this and you guys know it too. Corporations and government agencies have never been the power of change that's risen to a moral imperative to solve a problem that plagues mankind. It's always individuals. It can only be individuals. And individuals right now are not engaged in this movement. The green movement is alive, but it's not on the tip of people's tongues. It's not something that people have developed any kind of passion for, except in very small pockets. Well, you know something? Can we blame them? I mean, you guys are about to hear a $19.50 monthly subscription related to going green. Now, we have a ridiculously fantastic compensation model tied to that. And that's what's going to make this work. Because there's another problem that is every bit as serious and causing us to be short-sighted, and that's the economy. I read in USA Today just yesterday, we still have more unemployment now than we've had since the Great Depression. It hasn't changed. And in this article, they were saying one of the reasons that the economy's not coming back is, guess what? $5 gasoline. Now, without the production of sustainable energy in the United States being developed, what do you think gasoline prices are going to be in 10 years? And will the unstable governments, many of whom are not our buddies, are we going to be doing better with them 10 years from now? I don't think we are. I think that we're investing in our children's educations and their futures only to send them into job markets that will be 10 times more difficult than they are right now. And let's not even think about the future. Right now, there are people all over the country that can't make a living, and they can't think about going green. They can't. And you can't blame them. So what we have done that is, I believe, unique is we have connected an economic model with this endeavor. We have figured out how to provide jobs and how to provide opportunity to make those mortgage payments, to make those car payments, and also do something good for the environment, do something good to develop energy independence in this country, give to charitable causes. I mean, we're a one-stop shop for feeling great, we really are. And it's not a joke, it's not something insignificant. Let me share with you a couple of things that blew my mind. And when I came to know, and talk about a transformation, I'm going to admit to you, I had an experience listening to a song I love walking down the street as I knew we were going to announce this and we were going to do it. And I started crying because I couldn't believe I was getting to play the role that I'm getting to play. I just couldn't believe it. Why me? Why has this come up for me? Why has it come up for us? There you go. Thank you very much. It's a John Costino training. But in any case, from the Environmental Protection Agency, we have a number of statistics. They track all of the purchases of renewable energy credits, green power, of all the corporations by corporation and government agencies by government agency. And right now, Intel is the largest corporate buyer of renewable energy in the United States. Now, here's the power of what we can do, because the power of network marketing. There's 20 companies out there that have over 1 million reps and millions of customers. So here, this part of my talk, I want to see if I can get you guys to realize that this is not a load of hooey. We really do have the power to bring something about that's absolutely marvelous. When we have 220,000 customers approximately, North American Power will be the largest corporate buyer of renewable energy in the United States. When we have 1,600,000 customers, now do you guys think that's impossible? To have 1,600,000 customers? Well, guess what? Here's the power of this room and here's the power of individuals. At that point, our representatives and customers through North American Power will be buying more renewable, safe, clean, sustainable energy than all the corporations and all the government agencies combined. Here's the deal. It's really quite simple. Government agencies can only do so much. The government can only do so much. The great changes in history, let's take segregation. That changed. That actually happened because individuals sitting in their house, feeling powerless, like they can't make a difference, got so angry or so inspired that they got in a car or a train or a bus or plane and they flew to Washington, D.C., and they found themselves standing shoulder to shoulder with 1 million other people who for one moment suspended the idea that they didn't have personal power, and they listened to Martin Luther King's dream, and segregation came to an end. Now, the Vietnam War came to an end the same way, and women's rights came into existence the same way. And if we're going to address this energy crisis in the United States and this job crisis in the United States, it's got to be individuals. And I think we have a plan. I think that we have something that can work. And I hope that you guys do too, because this is by far the biggest thing I've ever done. And if you think for 1 second that somehow network marketing, because you never know, some people, they're sitting here, but they think, oh, this isn't the greatest profession in the world. I want you to recognize that we wouldn't probably be taking vitamins if it were not for network marketing companies. Do you realize that it's network marketing companies like Shaklee and Amway that popularize vitamins? MCI, Sprint, both network marketing companies. Network marketing is ridiculously powerful to sell a product that requires explanation. And here's the thing, I'm going to tie this back now to what I said earlier. Why is this perfect for us? Because this is a feel-good product. You're not going to get a juice. You're not going to get a new pair of shoes or a beautiful tie. I like this tie, by the way. But let me ask you a question. What do you get? Well, I can't answer it for each one of you, but I can say for myself, because I've thought a lot about it, what would I pay if there was a store that I could go to and buy the feeling I would get knowing that I was a pioneer, that I was in a room of 400 or 500 people when this project started, and I grabbed that mantle and I made a difference, and now the conversation is all over the country, because we won't do this by ourselves. I'm not, silly enough to think that North American Power's going to do this by ourselves. We're going to get help from Veridian and Stream Ignite and ACN and then the newspapers and the media. And we're going to start a conversation, because it doesn't take 50% of the population to begin to get things rolling. It takes a fraction of 1%. And nobody recognizes this more than my friend, Dr. Deepak Chopra. And when I went to him with this idea, and he was kind enough to meet with me, I don't think it took him, I think I had him at hello, to be honest, from the reaction that I got. I mean, I sat there with Taft Shamler and Gregory Breitbart, and, we nervously laid out this plan to somebody that I am in awe of. I try not to let him know that, but I am in awe of this man. I mean, there's very few people that have uplifted more human beings through sharing knowledge with them than Dr. Deepak Chopra. Dr. Deepak Chopra has touched millions of people. Now, what I didn't know was that after 65 books and, sharing all of these feelings, he now has a mission. And the mission is to put this into action, to touch 100 million people that care about a healthy, just, and wait for it, sustainable world. So he loved this idea. I mean, he thought that this was great. This was potentially an action step that completely fit what he wanted to do. And he had, I can't say wisdom, but he trusted me. I don't know why, but he trusted me, and I think he believed that I was genuine about wanting to do this and wanting to do it in the right way. And we do want to do it in the right way. Now I want to share something with you. There are a number of different types of renewable energy. When we sell our 100% product, and actually when Veridian does, and most of the people, we support the development of wind energy. We are the Saudi Arabia of wind in this country. There is a consistent breeze that's blown from the beginning of time from the Canadian border to the Gulf of Mexico. Without blighting the environment, we could build enough windmills and generate enough electricity from windmills to power this country 10 times over. It can be done. And it's clean, it's renewable, it's safe. So our product is called American Wind. And because wind is a nationally available product.